Let me know when it's live.
Yeah, it's live.
Okay. So, good evening, everyone, and Merry Christmas. I hope you're all doing well. I would like to welcome you all to today's AMA with GSoC Experts session. I'm Umesh, and I'll be your host for today. So, let's get started. This session is brought to you by Codepeak. Next slide. Here are our sponsors, and we have Geeks for Geeks, Taskade, and many others. So let's begin with what is GSoC. I'm sure you all have heard of GSoC, but let's start with what it means and what it signifies. Any questions or doubts you have about GSoC today will surely be resolved. So, the Google Summer of Code, often abbreviated to GSoC, is an international annual program in which Google awards stipends to contributors who successfully complete a free and open source software coding project during the summer. It is also focused on bringing new contributors into the open source development environment. It is the perfect program for anyone looking to contribute into open source and get some real world experience. Okay, so let's move on with the basic structure of GSoC. So, there is a list of organizations that contributors can choose from, and potential GSoC contributors contact the mentor organizations they want to work with and write a project proposal based on the ideas that the organization has suggested. Anyone from absolute beginners to experienced veterans can participate in GSoC. There is also an attractive stipend awaiting those who clear the
Just
program.
a second, I'm sorry. I guess there's some problem in the streaming. The slides are not visible.
Okay,
Uh, yeah, I'll present them again.
okay.
We'll just wait for a confirmation if it's visible on live stream.
Yeah, sure.
Umesh, can you present if it's possible?
Okay, just give me a second.
Yeah, let's do.
Yeah, is it visible?
Yeah, it's visible to me.
Okay, it's visible on the live stream as well.
There's a bit of a lag, so you have to wait for confirmation.
Should I continue?
Yeah, just wait. Yeah, at least it's visible there.
Okay.
You can start from the previous slide.
Okay, I'll start from the previous slide. So we had some technical difficulties. I hope everyone can see the slides now. So we were at what is GSoC? So GSoC is the Google Summer of Code, and it is an international annual program in which Google awards stipends to contributors who successfully complete a free and open source software coding project during the summer. It is focused on bringing new contributors into the open source software development environment. And as we can see, it is the perfect program for anyone looking to contribute in open source and get some real world experience. We'll move on to the basic structure of GSoC. So there are three basic steps. The first is there is a list of organizations, and anyone who's looking to contribute in GSoC has to choose the organization that matches their interests or matches the tech stack that they are working in. Then you have to apply to the project by submitting a proposal based on the ideas that the organization has suggested. And lastly, if you are accepted, then you spend the summer coding under the guidance of a mentor from that organization. And once you're done, there is an attractive stipend waiting for you. So today, Codepeak brings you this session to skyrocket your chances of getting selected for the program, because we have some very special speakers here who have cleared GSOC and have tons of experience about it. So let's not waste any time, and I'll introduce our speakers one by one. So the first speaker we have today is Amay Bhaiya from IIT Guwahati BTech 22 batch. He cleared GSOC in 21 and he's currently a software engineer at IBM. So Amay Bhaiya, could you say a few words about yourself?
Yes, sure. Am I audible?
Yeah,
Hello.
you're audible.
Yeah. So, yes, as you've mentioned, I completed my GSOC after the end of my third year, that is in 2021. So, it was in the Machine Learning for Science organization, which was actually the first year for their organization itself. So that was the first time the organization participated in GSOC. So my work was mainly on machine learning for turbulent fluid dynamics, and broadly the tech stack I worked on was Python and other related libraries with it. So yeah, that's the brief about it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot, Amay Bhaiya. Let's move on to the next speaker. We have Ashwani Bhaiya, who is from IIT Patna BTech 22 batch, and he cleared GSOC in 2020 at Rocket Chat. Ashwani Bhaiya, could you introduce yourself?
Yeah. So, hi guys. I am Ashwani. I am a 2022 graduate from IIT Patna from electrical department. So, I'll tell you about my story of GSOC. So, from first year onwards, like I was introduced to open source by the NJEC, which is the Computer Science Department Club of IIT Patna, not just limited to CSE. So, in the first year, I applied to GSOC with RocketJet, but I was not selected, but I had a good understanding about the code base. So in second year again I tried it, and this time I cleared it. So my project was based on adding screen sharing feature to the live chat widget. So Rocket Chat is just a free and open source alternative to Slack. So and my suggestion would be to beginners who are in the freshman year. So I guess that web development projects are in abundant, basic front end and like some advanced backend projects. So that would be awesome if freshers apply to these projects. Also, there are projects which are related to machine learning and that other related fields also, but they can be somewhat tricky, which requires additional knowledge. So that's why second year and third year will be great for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashwani Bhaiya, for your insightful lessons. Let's move on to our next speaker. That is Rubak Bhaiya. He's also from IIT Patna BTech 24 batch, and he cleared GSOC in year 2022. Rupak Bhaiya, please introduce yourself.
Hello everyone. So I am Vibhu Bishwas and I am in third year BTech student at IIT Patna. I am really passionate about GSOC and always looking for new ways to improve my skills in this area. I love the challenges and problem solving that comes with developing application, and I am also really interested in security aspects of it all. So I believe that as technology continues to advance, it's important to make it secure. So in my free time, I enjoy tinkering with new technologies and experimenting with different programming languages. So I work on the ways to improve my skills. About my GSOC project, so my GSOC project is Pivot. uh, in project from OWASP. So about OWASP, the Open Web Security Application Security Project is a non-profit organization dedicated to improving the security of software, and it is an open community of volunteers who work together to identify and address security risks in web applications. So, as a computer science student with a passion for cybersecurity, I was thrilled to have the opportunity to work with OWASP and contribute to their mission on improving the security of the internet. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Rupak Bhaiya. And let's move on to our final speaker, which is Akshat Bhaiya. And he cleared GSOC in 2022 at CC Extractor. So I'd request Akshat Bhaiya to introduce himself.
Yeah, so hello everyone. I will screen share and I will start my introduction with like so. Just a sec. Hope it is visible to everyone. Can someone confirm?
Yeah, it's visible.
Yeah. So hello everyone. I am Akshay. I am one of the member and mentor of Team MFOS, which is an open source club in my college. So not college actually, the university, the Amrita Vishwavidyapith University. So since first year, I have been part of this club, and that's how I got introduced to open source. So uh, this my whole open source journey starts with MFOS. I started contributing to MFOS projects and getting mentored by MFOS, and that's how I came to know about open source, and I continued my journey, which till now has been very good and has been very exciting to me. So I will continue further with giving you insights about open source. So do you guys know this logo? Like, I hope everyone knows it. Uh, then this also everyone knows. Uh, and I feel this also should be known by everyone. So there is a common thing among all the three. So all the three are open source. This is called VLC. This is Brave. Then this is Audacity. So all three are the most used open. According to me, one of the most used open source projects. Which is common to everyone, which is known to everyone. There are others also, but these might be known to everyone, and some or the other way somebody has used it. So, like, what comes into play is why open source? Why we need to contribute to open source? Why we need to be a part of it, and why we need to have that experience? So, open source will make you all ready for a software developer job, or it will give you the experience you need to have to go to industry and just do some good contribution from your side and excel in the field. So it starts with so that's what open source give you. It will also help you to get understanding of the whole software development culture, many other software development things that you should follow, which I will tell you further in the slides. So there are certain things that you should follow while contributing to open source, which is continued in further in the software development jobs, and software which will give you the experience to have all sort of things like that. So that's why you should contribute to open source. Everyone should at least have one or the other experience with open source. So one of the biggest contribution of mine to open source has been the contribution to the GSoC, to the CC Extractor Flood Mobile project. So what is actually the Flood Mobile project is, it's a torrent downloader basically, which uses the Flood as a backend, which is written in Node.js actually. And on the top of it, my project was to build the mobile app for the Flood, so that people can use the services from their mobile. So it's a Flutter application, so it can be used both in iOS and Android. So that's what the Flood Mobile is basically the top overview idea. It can play videos, it can download torrents using magnets, torrent files. It can use the RSS feed to download the new torrents incoming and all that sort of features. So like these are some of my contributions. So I had made 25 plus pull requests, 50 plus commits to like deliver the features I was asked to. So my experience in the whole journey to CC extractor, uh, like I started with like I will tell a brief overview about how I contributed and how I started it. So I started with, like as everyone starts, like searching for a organization to contribute. I advise everyone not to just search for organization that I can like do good in this organization and all. Like what my aim was, first I chose the tech stack. I was good with Flutter, so I chose the tech stack as Flutter, and like so that was my basic aim, to get a project with Flutter tech stack. And the other tech stack can be like the backend can be anything I thought of. I will like side by side get to know about the backend and all this stuff. So I chose that, and then I started looking for the Flutter projects. I looked at many of them. Like the thing that like the project that most interested me was the CC Extractor Flood Mobile project. Like uh, the idea interests me. I found that, like I can contribute to the project for the whole 6 months. So like I advise everyone that if they are starting with contributing to a project, they should actually get interested by seeing the project and not just choose the project for qualifying the like for cracking the GSoC, because then they will at some point lose the interest of contribution, and then they will drop off the idea or something like that will happen. So that's how it started. And then I started like looking further into the issues, solving the issues, then writing a proposal, and then I got selected. So my whole experience was very fruitful with like CC Extractor. On the way, I learned a lot of things. I never wrote Flutter tests, so like that's what is followed in like open source only, that you need to write test and all that kind of thing. When you develop personal project, you don't need to write test and that kind of thing, unless and until you decide yourself to write it. So that was the new thing I learned. Then I learned about state management and many other learnings along the way. So like it was a whole fruitful learning journey for me, and like it will be for everyone who wish to contribute to open source or GSoC or any other thing. Like you will have some or the other learning in one or the other way. It can be technical learning, it can be non-technical also. Like you will understand when I will tell you about the whole like process. So I will like share you one other thing. So like Google Summer of Code start with choosing a project. So like you start with choosing a project based, like you first decide a tech stack you want to contribute. According to me, like some people have the idea that you should start with choosing a project, but that don't make sense to me, because if you don't know the tech stack at all, then it might be hard for getting selected. If you don't know any of the tech stack, then you can go ahead with choosing a project which feels like which interests you and learning the tech stack. But if you know have some previous experience with some programming languages and some skills, so like you can use that and first decide a tech stack and then start searching for the projects which follows that tech stack. Like in my case, it was Flutter and that thing. So like you can go to GSoC archives and like just search for that, like just filter the project through tech stack, and you can get the lot of projects with your interesting like your interested tech stack. And that's how you can like look into the project, look into their code base. If you are understanding the project, you are liking the concept, and then you can go ahead with that project. That's how I advise people to like start choosing with the project, the initial setup. So I hope there was one question like how should we start. So like for my further answers will answer that. So uh, the next is the when you choose a project, you start with the community bonding. So like you need to introduce yourself, you need to join their mailing list, you need to contact mentors, so that like get to know about the mentors, how they are, and like start talking with them in from starting only, that you want to contribute to the project. Be like start becoming active in the mailing list and all, so that like from starting only mentor, like you get contacted with a mentor if you are facing some issues further while solving some of the other bugs or something like that. So you can like easily get help with him, or like while building the project you can easily get help, and it will also show that like you are there and you exist and you are trying to contribute. So start with joining the mailing list, interacting in the mailing list, contacting mentors, and also like in open source we are expected to help each and everyone, like to the other contributors, to the community members. So because like it's not about a competition to crack, it's about like open source journey. So like in the journey you should help each, like open source is actually about opening like your knowledge and sharing your knowledge for the betterment of others or the betterment of the world. So like uh, organizations expect from you that you will help the other contributors and will be an active member and will be good to the community. So like do that also, which people don't do actually. They like just feel it's a competition to crack and they don't do that sort of things. Then there comes the contribution part. So you start with building the project, going through their idea list. So each and every org has their idea list. So idea list are basically the features they want further during the GSoC period or something like that. So like read about that also, so that you might get further ideas what you need to deliver and what all you need to do. Like go through the past contributions, past idea list, issues section, and also that you can get to know about the features currently in the app and you might understand the app better. And also go through the issues section in the GitHub so that you can get to know about the current issues, and if you want to solve some of them you can like take them. The next is check how you can improve the project, like try to think like how the project can be improved, what ideas can be implemented and all that sort. And if you find some good ideas which really interest you, so you can request for a feature to be implemented that would implement your ideas by making an issue in the GitHub itself. If you want to take on the issue, like you should need to comment on the issue, like that I want to take this issue. Also you need to comment on the issue. Suppose if someone is solving some or the other issue and facing some like issues with the solution, so like you can help him or her, but don't like help directly. Just suppose if he or she is like improving the app UI or something like that, so you can help him or by giving him suggestions that these things should be here, or this UI looks better, or having your say in the whole like solution, that kind of thing. So this will count as your non-technical contributions to the organization. So these things also matter, so you should follow this also during contributing. And the final one, the most important things is you should fix some of the bugs and make the product more stable, like so that like the mentor might get to know that yeah, you are technically stable and you are able to understand the project and is able to code and like is a worthy client contributor for getting selected. So this is the most important thing. You need to mention about it also. So in during your proposal, like you this is one of the most important section. You need to solve as many bugs as you can. Then there is proposal writing. So like Ashwani here will explain more about it. I will just give a brief overview that there is a template for some org. There is a template. So like if there is a template, then you need to follow that template, and if there is not, then you can choose your own template and your way to write the proposal. If there is a template, it is good for you because like it will give you an idea how your like proposal should be structured. But if there is not, maybe try to find some previous proposal which you might find online or something like that. Go through the proposals and like have an idea of what kind of structures the proposal follows, and like then make your own kind of template and then start with the proposal. So that's one thing you need to look while writing the proposal. Then like during writing the proposal, be precise, crisp and short. Don't just overdo things, like don't try to explain features like too much. Like don't make your proposal, I have seen people making proposal 25 pages, 30 pages. That is not really good and not really advisable. Like nobody will read that much and will try to give that much time to your proposal. They will start skipping things and you might have a bad time, people not reading your stuff. So that is one thing. And then like include stuffs like how I structured my proposal was, I started with a problem, like mentioning about a problem, then I proposed the solution, and then I proposed an overview of the solution, like showing the mockups, flowcharts, and like how I will implement them through mockups and through flowchart, how the flow will go and that kind of thing. So these things are important. And then make a proper timeline. Timeline is important because if you fake in the timeline, like if you don't know actually what you are going to implement, and you just say that yeah, it will take 2 days, 3 days, and actually the thing is hard enough to be taking 1 week, then the mentor might be easily able to recognize that you are faking on and you don't really know what is to be implemented and what things are required. So he will like be easily able to guess that you are not the worthy client, so like worthy contributor to be selected. So don't try to like make a proper timeline, be very serious with the timeline, be very careful, and the timeline should look very legit, and it should not look too much like taking too much time, and it should not look like taking too less time. Like taking too less time also like put a doubt in the mentor's mind that you don't know actually the project. So you need to be careful about that. Then like frame it and revolve it around the idea list. Like don't over follow the idea list and start proposing your own ideas only in the whole like proposal. Stick to the idea list. You can propose some of your ideas, but that should be mentioned under additional ideas or additional features, and not with the idea list. So that's one thing you need to follow. And then like if possible for you, get it reviewed from your club members who had previous experiences with GSoC and who had participated in GSoC, and also send the proposal to your mentor for getting it reviewed so that he can tell you where you are going wrong before like submitting the proposal only. Or like ask your mentor how you need to be getting reviewed from him or her. So like it would be good if you get it reviewed multiple times. And then the next is like just wait for the result, sit, chill, relax, and like be a long-term contributor, even if you get selected, even if you don't get selected. Because at the end, the main aim should be learning about the open source rather than just cracking GSoC. That's all about um, my presentation. Like I will hand over to others for the Q&A.
Thanks a lot, Akshat Bhaiya. Thank you for all the advice that you gave. I'm sure everyone found it very helpful. So I guess we can now go on to the questions part. We have basically collected a few questions from a Google form that was floated before, and I'll be reading out those questions, and we'll have our speakers answer them for the audience. So should I begin?
Yeah, you can start.
Okay, so the first question is how to start preparing for GSOC, and what should one know before applying for GSOC as a first timer?
I will answer this question. So like to start preparing for GSoC, as I said, start with like choosing a tech stack according to me. And like if you have some previous experience, and if you don't have, then start looking at the projects and start seeing what interests you actually, and which project interest you, so that you can be a long contributor to that project. And if you have a previous experience with programming and really know about some of the tech stack, then choose that tech stack. Go with that tech stack, choose the project, filter out them and read about them, and like get an idea about the project. If that project is still interesting you, like it seems interesting to you, then you can go ahead with the project. And uh, like since the question mentioned that you are a first timer, I guess like programming knowledge might not be that much with you, so you can directly go with like looking at the projects. Just go to the GSoC archives, look to some of the projects which really interest you. Like don't look on the too complex project. Like don't go with too like serious organizations like GraphQL, Django, like where you really require a lot of knowledge, like Dart and that kind of organization. Like choose some common among them, like which actually, like as Ashwani Bhaiya said, deals with the front end, and like normal front end back end projects like web development projects, Android development projects, and don't go too deep, like start in making the Dart language itself or implementing the new features for Dart language. So that might be hard. Uh, other than that, like what I would advise is like stick to like if you have chosen a project, then stick to the project unless and until you find it too hard to grasp. Like because like I have seen people like choosing a project, contributing for it for some time, understanding about the code base, like uh, then somehow they like think that this project is too hard, I should change my project, and they like end up changing the whole idea and getting into other organizations. So they actually waste like if your main aim is to get selected also for GSOC, then you are actually not doing the right thing. You should actually stick with an organization, be a long contributor to it, at least from December to Feb, like start keep on contributing, and that would be good and would be helpful for you also. And you would at the end up learning something, even if you don't get selected. So that would be the path I would advise for the first time contributors.
Okay, that was great. So the next question is, I'll read out the next question. Someone says the main problem is starting up in the initial phase, how to choose the organization, different bases, how to tackle slash find the bug slash issue from the code base, or how to ask the right questions to mentors while contributing to open source.
Okay, so like as mentioned in the question, the main problem is starting up the initial phase. So initial phase, like I guess the above question, like the same answer, like initial phase you need to like actually look into a lot of projects, get an idea about the projects, how it works, see your interest and choose one project. Like that you need to do some or the other way. Like you can't actually uh, like have a definite answer for this, like how to start with that. Like you need to give some days, like give a week or something for just choosing a project, read a lot about the other projects, like see their idea list, see your interest, see that if you will be able to contribute to the project for a long term, and stick to it further. And like how to tackle find bugs issues. So like initially I would advise the first time contributor not to start finding bugs, but like go to their GitHub code base and like look into the existing issues, like, and there might be something labeled as good first issue. So there the issues might be tagged as good first issues. So those are the issues actually which are like normal issues and might be easy to solve. So like try to get one of the good first issues assigned to yourself, start looking at the code base, like give some time to yourself, build the project, get an understanding about the project, and then start solving that good first issue. And if you give some time, surely that good first issue is a easy issue, so you will be able to solve that issue. And about asking the right questions to seniors, mentors, there is no question wrong or right. Like uh, it's up to the person thinking like that is the question right or wrong. Like you can ask any questions to the mentor and like seniors, like you are the issues you are facing, and he would be happy to answer you or happy to help you. Like it is not like any question is wrong to ask. Like if you are facing certain issues with the project, that might be a legit issue, that might not be a legit issue, or you might be making some mistakes, but it is common because like the mentor also might be a contributor or a starter at some point, so he knows that these kind of issues might come. So like don't hesitate to ask any of the question. Like you can ask any of the question to mentor and while contributing to the project, and he will be happy to answer, and he will not feel anything wrong about you asking that question. I hope this answers the whole question.
Thank you, Bhaiya. Let's move on to the third question. The third question says, how to get hands dirty with open source. The projects are usually big, and reading the entire code base is a very humongous task, especially for beginners. How to get around that?
Okay, I think this question I can answer. So for beginners, I think the first step or the baby step would be to just get into the club of your respective college or some other colleges also, like if your college doesn't have it, and try to get involved in as much as projects as you can. Okay, so like Codepeak also organizes some projects, so start with that. So in that way, you'll be getting a hang about the code base. It will be a small code base, and that will help you to tackle how you will be handling the large code base. Okay, so now coming to the GSOC, the orgs, the repos. So the repos are quite big, so it is not humanly possible to just go through every line and understand the code base or the logic, okay, and how the entire ecosystem works. So the like मुद्दे की बात पे आते हैं, how will you do that? So go to the this issues and PR section of that repository, okay, or go to the PR section and open the closed issues, okay, closed PRs. Now you see how the other developers have solved that issue, okay. There will be a issue number pointed out to that. Go to that issue, read the issue, okay. Try to think of the solution in your head yourself, that how will you be able to do it, okay. If you are able to think of a solution, well and good, okay. If you're not able to think about it, just go to the solved PR, whoever the person has solved it. Try to look at the code base and just see the files there, like when you have opened the code in your IntelliJ or VS Code, okay. See that, okay, and try to replicate it. So this way you will be able to develop a habit of how to actually solve an issue when first comes, okay. And this was the point number one. The point number two is how to debug. Okay, so for backend projects, like if you are solving something, okay, so my advice would be to just comment out the code if you're not able to understand like what bad it can happen if this code is not there. So if you comment out, so it will be stop working from there, and that way you will able to point out actually where the issue is or where the problem is, okay. Or maybe commenting it bypasses that function, so you are getting that okay, this issue is not coming. So these are like some hacks which you can involve. And in front end projects, like if you're not able to find out where the component is or where that like the div and all these are there, you just comment the code and it will just be reflected there. Okay, so this is the second point. And some other points can be to try to finding the similar issues which are already solved, okay. So maybe that one person has solved the issue about a certain thing which is not working, so try to replicate and find on your own, like try to generate a new issue about that this thing is not working. Similar type of thing may also be not working in that, or maybe that person has forget about it. So like this way you will be able to increase a number of PRs, okay. And that is, and I think that is a good thing, because when I was contributing to Rocket Chat, I was on the top of the leaderboard. My merge PRs were around 40 to 45, and the second person merge PR were around 20. So these were the simple hacks which I used to do meaningful contributions, a lot of contribution, and which included some quality contribution also. So I think this would be helpful.
Uh, Thank you, Ashwani Bhaiya. Anyone else would like to add to the question? Any other speaker? Okay, so we can get to the next question. Is it too late to start right now as it is mid-December? I guess this is a question on the minds of many people watching this. So, is it too late to start preparing for GSOC?
Let me answer this question. So, no, definitely no. If I talk about myself, I started contributing in March, the starting of March, and in 1 month I opened about 10 plus PR with 2 new features implementation. So about my project was about creating cybersecurity behaviors, and this is a budding project, and there were many areas of improvements. So mm, during the contribution period, I added more than 25 labs in Pivot with 110 commits. So you have lots of time to invest. If you have you have lots of time, invest them in finding your interest in those projects. build your skills, do some personal project, brainstorm about some existing issues or new features of your chosen organization or project. But if you are new in this area, if you are new in development, you might need to give time to learn those things, and uh, you may face some difficulty if you start now. So anyway, you have to work hard to, if you are a beginner, uh, to first build those skills and then look those projects.
Okay, great. So next question: how can freshers who have only basic knowledge in the domains of web development participate in GSoC? Is it even possible for freshers to get selected in GSoC?
Okay, so I think I'll tell. So yeah, it is definitely possible for freshers to get selected also. In my like my mates, my batchmates also get selected in first year. So but so one of them was already a developer from school days, so he knowed about Python and these type of languages in school, when we just thought that Python is a snake. So that is also possible. And one guy was like that also. He didn't know anything. He came to college and learned, and then also he got selected. So I think both the cases are there. So it's possible for any fresher to get selected. The thing is that you just have to have a positive mindset, and like uh, you just not you like you should not think that it is very tough or like that. You just have to make the contribution. Okay, any small contribution also meaningful. So now I'll come to the hack part. So the hack part to get selected as a fresher is try to find a org which is new, or like which came first time. Okay, so in that case what happens is maybe other people didn't know about that org. Okay, and maybe they know about that org when they are writing proposals. So what they do is they just submit the proposal and they have not contributed anything in that org. So like this people usually do because they have three proposals to submit. Okay, so in that case what you can do is you don't have to wait for the last moment to submit the proposal. You just find the new orgs. Okay, and whichever best suits you, like whichever area you wanted to do in machine learning or deep learning or internet of things, these types of orgs also come. So you just try to do some code work. Okay, like a solid code work. Okay, a small contribution is also a solid code work, and then write a proposal. Okay, so in freshman year this is highly advisable. So this was the hack. So if someone wants to add, please do.
Yes, so I will go ahead. So I guess when we talk about when can freshers contribute or not, or is it possible to get selected? I guess we have a huge number of examples out there who have cracked GSOC in their first year. It's not uncommon and it's not doable. It depends on how much you know and how willing you are. And as Rashmani mentioned, for new organizations, sometimes you do not require prior contributions, and sometimes they might also judge you based on your other projects or even your in general CV or if motivation or your proposal itself. So it's not that difficult, and it will vary from project to project and organization to organization. I mean, if you're targeting a very big organization and the most difficult project, then obviously it would not be possible. But if you choose a right project that suits you, then yes, you can definitely do that. Yeah, that's all.
Okay, thank you, Amay Bhaiya and Ashwani Bhaiya. Let's get to the next question, which is about proposals. So the question says, how to prepare a good proposal that gets selected? And what are the qualities of a good proposal? And is it also possible for you to show your proposal that you submitted in GSoC?
Okay, for this, I have prepared a slide, so I would like to share it. So please confirm if you can see it.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the slides. It's around like 15-20 pages, so I just go fast. So GSoC, how to write a kick-ass proposal by me. So about me. So I think introduction has already been done. So I'm Ashwin Yadav. I'm a 22 graduate from IIT Patna, and I worked with Zomato as an intern and currently an SDR at Flipkart. So how to write a GSoC proposal no one can reject. Okay, so the first thing is you have to think in terms of selling your idea and yourself. Okay, describe your idea in detail, like what are the ultimate goal, what good it will bring to the organization which you are contributing to, and what components it will have. Okay, all the good stuffs, the beat stuffs which you can use here. You just have to sell your idea because you are writing a proposal, you have not done the entire thing. So how someone will judge you is by a proposal only. Look at how you are selling it. So maybe some person which people who are not good at coding also, they also get selected. That is due to their selling this idea. Okay, and selling also includes the, like, talking about your past experiences, like what kind of work have you done. Okay, how will you make the good fit to this project. So this all comes here. Okay, and tailor your application to the project. Like, remember, while writing the draft proposal, zindagi badi honi chahiye, lambi nahi. Okay, so some also require a very long proposal. Okay, they require it to be very descriptive about each week what you'll be doing. Okay, so there is like three phases: phase one, phase two, phase three, in which you will be working. So some also require to just write in short, like what you'll be doing this phase one, phase two, phase three. And some also require to write in every week of phase one. Okay, so week one, week two, week three, week four. So in Rocket Chat, which was my org, it requires me to do that way, like every weekly. So my proposal became a long one. Okay. So each application you send should be targeted and tailored for the specific mentoring organization and project to which you are applying. Okay. You have to also read the docs extensively, like whichever project you are contributing to, they will be having some docs, some API docs. Okay. And all the developer friendly docs. So you have to use it and grab the keywords and use whenever required. Okay, and the final step will be get feedback on your idea from the community. Before submitting the project, also get feedback, like is it still relevant, like this, what is the priority of this proposal. Okay, so whenever you are selecting a project, maybe there are 5 projects, try to find the priority that which is more business crucial for this organization. Okay, so maybe they have just written it randomly, but the third one is the which will be more business beneficial. So for my case, I have to implement a screen sharing feature. So you see, business nowadays needs screen sharing because they want to talk to their customers, and customers is having some problems, so agents can screen share it and resolve that. So you see, this is a business crucial project. So I targeted this, and like by God grace, it's got selected. So, and you have to get your draft proposal reviewed as many times as you can from your mentor. Okay, so that your final proposal is as solid. So what are the key ingredients of an awesome proposal? So here I'll be showing you the snippets of my proposal, and then we'll be finishing the slide. So my proposal looked like this. So this was the first page. So omni-channel, add screen sharing feature in the live chat view, some personal information about me. Okay, this was the template which I used from Rocket Chat. Okay, then next I have to write the project name, like what is the aim of the project, and here you can use the flow chart, like, so for screen sharing how the flow will work. Okay, so like this, you can use some flow charts, code snippets, diagrams, tables whenever required. Okay, your proposal should not just be like something copied from Wikipedia, paragraphs. Okay, so as I was talking about selling idea, so how this idea be an asset to Rocket Ship. If you're developing a project, so how this would be an asset to that organization, that thing is most important. Okay, so you have to describe it like as briefly as you can. Then implementation and timeline and detailed weekly works. So my or required me to write weekly work. So I have written the like implementation and timeline. First we have the community bonding period, and then we have the three phases. Okay, in phase this is like this how it should be. So what other than the project you will work on? Okay, so this comes like whenever when you start working in that organization, you would be working on some issues, you will be solving it, but they may be not related to your project which you will be working on. So this comes under that category, like what are the things which you have worked on. Some maybe already gone to production, and some may be like that it is still pending, maybe 75% completed. So this also you can try to do it in the coding period. Okay, so what other than the project you will be working on? So like these 4 5 PRs were there which are pending, like they were some like big PRs, so I was not able to completely do it, but still I mentioned it, and like finally I was able to complete that also. So how will you give back to the community after GSOC? So write this like you will be writing some blogs, okay, and you will be some writing some medium articles about it, that how you did it. So these kinds of things come here, like how will you be helping the community after your GSOC project has ended. Okay, it can also be like that you will be solving some small bugs because you already have the knowledge of the code base, so which you can do after that, because this adds that you are not just coming here for money, and like when you grab the money you just go home. So it's not like that. Okay. Mention your previous contributions in the org. Okay, and if there is some leaderboard there in your organization, try to mention that thing in bold letters, like currently I stand first on the GSO leaderboard as this. Try to write all your pull requests which are merged, okay, the crucial ones, not the small ones, and like the open issues. Like I worked on the Rocket Chat app CLI, worked on the live chat, I worked on the main Rocket Chat, the main monolith which they have. So also write some FAQs, like what are the timings which you will be approachable, how many times or hours you will be able to give when you are working for all the phases. So these things will also include this. Also try to include like if you have some semester examination, so this time you will not be available. So these kinds comes in FAQs. Okay, some tips. This I already I think told you. They submit your proposal as early as possible. Okay, and make your proposal as detailed as possible. This also I've discussed. Follow the rules of your respective ORs, the proposal template, that thing you have to follow. Use flowcharts, diagrams, code snippets whenever required, like this. And some other open source programs which you can also target apart from GSOC. Okay, and on the process, don't panic. Okay, try to be as chill as you can. Okay, learn as much as you can. GSOC is not the ultimate target in the end of the day. So pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Bhaiya. That was an amazing presentation. I hope any doubts about making proposals and submitting proposals is now cleared. So we can take on some other questions. So before that, I'll just like to say that please keep posting your questions in the live chat. Once we're done with these questions, we'll be picking a few questions from the live chat and asking them to the speakers. So moving on. Often the organizations that you were contributing to are not selected for GSOC in your year. How to tackle that situation?
Okay, I will go ahead with this. So, yes, obviously, as mentioned earlier as well by other speakers, one thing is we can first of all do a trend analysis through the previous programs, how frequently that org is being accepted. So maybe you can just go for the past 5 years trend. I guess that would be enough, and also take a look at how many students are getting accepted. So is their number consistent? Like some organizations uh, decrease the number of slots they have or increase rapidly. So you can obviously take a look at that before choosing your organization. Apart from this, if still at the end of the day your organization doesn't get selected, then maybe you can keep, or if you are doubtful that the project you are interested might not get selected if it's a new org, then maybe parallelly before itself, like during this January period, you can start looking at other organizations also. maybe not contribute as actively in your primary organization, but maybe keep a check on what is happening there, if the stack is similar or something. And so if on the day that organizations are announced, if you know that your org is not selected, so maybe you can switch to other similar org which you previously checked. Also, there is another thing that there are some large umbrella organizations in GSOC. CERN is one of them, ML4Psi is one of them, the Julia language is one of them, Num Focus is one of them. So what happens is in these umbrella orgs, there are multiple smaller projects that participate as a part of the larger org. So sometimes what happens is some projects are actually moved from one org to other org. I particularly know one project which was a part of Open Astronomy, but later they actually moved it to GNU. So that specific project actually moved. It was not that it in no a particular org didn't get selected. So such things also happen. So I guess it's better if you keep checking and keep discussing with the mentors. Yeah, that's all I had. If anyone wants, you can add.
Okay, so I'll take the next question now. The question says, some organizations like CERN, HSF, and ML4Psi do not require you to contribute to the organization before GSOC. They have more of a task based entry. So, can someone elaborate on that?
Uh, yes, since I have done my GSOC in ML4Psi, I can clear a bit of air on these. So, CERN has been participating since quite some time. I guess a very long time, 15 years or so. And every year they have some rigid number of slots. But during the year 2021, I guess they had some spin off, and ML4Psi, a new org, actually came out of CERN. So it was a new argument, participated in first time, but most of the projects from CERN organization were actually carried over in the ML4Psi organization. So these organizations have a bit of research-based projects. Obviously, it's GSOC, so there is open source involved. So you still have to contribute, but there are some specific projects which they are just starting out, and you have to basically establish the code from scratch or from any minimal level. So here there isn't a very strong community as such overall. So when the projects are announced, basically when the organizations are announced, from that till the application deadline, that 35 or 40-day period, you have to basically work on the tasks that they have. So for each project they mention some tasks. So those tasks could be just like an advanced version of assignments we do in a college, or it could be some sort of a thesis we do in our college, or something of that sort, where you have to quickly implement that in 2 3 weeks and basically submit the task. So along with the proposal, they will also evaluate you based on the tasks that they have. And so this is how the general flow is. Also, even in these orgs, even CERN and ML4Psi, there are some projects which actually require open source contributions to large projects. It's not that all projects are research focused and you cannot, you only need to go through tasks. There are some projects which actually have very large GitHub repositories and have been active for long, long time. So there are some projects that are such as well, but there are a bit of things that you would not find so easily. Coming to the community part of it, they obviously have Twitter channel, some Slack channels and all, but it's not very similar to how you would have in other software specific orgs. So the only time the community is kind of active is during the application period, that is once the orgs are announced till the deadline. And that is why I also remember that I had asked a review on my proposal from my mentors, but they had said we had such a huge volume of proposals that we cannot actually evaluate any of them. So in that case, the best situation would be to get those evaluated from people who have cleared GSOC earlier in that org, because in that case the mentors don't have kind of time for that. So they actually go through the proposal only after you have submitted them. So if you are interested in some domain specific applications, then you can actually go for such orgs. So I'll take 5 more minutes and actually elaborate on what such orgs are. So coming specifically to CERN and ML4Psi, as I've been talking, and it is the question issue. So there are some projects which require you a specific knowledge of physics, astronomy, chemistry, and even quantum computing in some cases. So if you are interested in that, then in that case, these projects are beneficial. If not, then this would not be that useful for you, because here the projects require something more just from development and programming knowledge. You would require some specific domain knowledge as well. So there would be more opportunities further in the post GSOC period as well. Yeah, so I'll list some more orgs which actually are such. So CERN HSF is there, ML4Psi which is born out of is there, and there is another recent org that has come up which is actually a math-based org, that is GEOM scale, GEOM scale, uh, which actually focuses on geometry. Then there are some university organizations as well. Some of them are discontinued, some of them are actually continuing. So there's this Berkman Klein Center at Harvard University, which used to come earlier. I guess they've discontinued now. And there's Department of Biomedical Informatics at Emory University. And then we have the Cross Org, which is at UC Santa Cruz, and we also have Center for Translational Data Sciences at University of Chicago. So these orgs are more like university research labs kind of, and less of a industry oriented. But if you are interested in that sort of, then you can definitely go for this. And I guess the best way is, again, since it's open source, you can actually uh, look at what previous contributors have done and actually tailor yourself. So coming back to the question, I don't think there is anything much different that you have to do from what you do need to do for other orgs. It's just that you need to be interested in the domain of the project, because these projects are very domain heavy. If you're not interested in astrophysics, contributing to the project or even getting accepted would be difficult, because you would have to keep learning on that particular domain that you select. And apart from this, uh, there is not much difference. That's all I can say. It's just that these orgs can getting acceptance in these orgs can get a bit difficult, especially now, because even earlier also there are a lot of masters and PhD students as well who used to apply to these orgs. So I guess you might want to check that again. If you really want to just get accepted, then maybe choose a other org. That's all I would say. So yeah, if anyone wants to add anything, or if anyone has a question, they can drop in chat box.
Thank you, Amay Bhaiya. That was certainly some new information about all the orgs that I'm sure not most of us knew about. Let's get on with our next question. So, GSOC 2022 had some changes with respect to the lengths of the projects as compared to the previous editions of GSOC. How should one choose from a longer project or a shorter project? And what are the merits and demerits of the same?
So see there is a twist in this category system. So the GSOC organizer categorized them in long and short projects. Precisely, the short projects consist of 75 hours, and the long projects are for 350 hours. But this is all about time, and the organization categorizes them in differently. They categorize them in terms of complexity. The projects can be easy, hard, or medium. And these two type of categorization don't have any interconnection. So a easy problem can be a long project, and a hard problem can be a short project. So if I was given the option, I would choose long if my in summer I don't have any other plan. Otherwise, a short is also okay, but uh, another valid point is like for short project, GSO gives uh, $1,500 to students, and for long $3,000. So that can be another reason to choose long projects. And about merit for the shorter projects, I don't see any benefit compared to long projects. So if you have options between choosing long project and short project, go ahead with the longer one. That's my opinion. If uh, any other have some other opinion, please.
Yeah, so like I will add to it. So sometimes like you might end up starting choosing a like longer project, but like wait later when like the whole like results are published that you got selected or which project got selected. At the end moment, also the organization might change the project to a medium one or shorter one. Thinking that like there are actually certain slots given to each and every organization. Like that's how it has changed. So like each and every organization is like allotted some slots that this much short project and this much long project we might be offering you. So like uh, the same project which was long can be short project. That was in my case. Like it was first a long project, then it became a like short project. So like they will actually reduce the idea list and they will like tweak a project a bit to make it short project. So like what I feel is like, yeah, as Rupak said, like you should actually go for the long project, but like in the end if it ends up being a shorter project, like there is no issues with it. Like at the end your main goal should be like learning and not the money and like that kind of thing. So you will learn something in that 3 months also, and if it would be a 5 months project you will learn that also in something in that time. So like you can go either of the ways. In some cases people might like, I have seen one question like regarding internship also, that how to manage it with interns, and also for that cases you can go with the short project so that you can easily be able to tackle out. Like as Rupak said, the short project might be having a short tenor and easy and all that thing. So like you might be easily able to tackle out like the difficulties along with your interns position. So like that would be one another way to think about the long project and short project. I hope that also helps.
Yes, one more thing I would like to point out: if first year students and second year students are maybe uh, going, then maybe they can go for longer projects to learn more, and actually they have time. If maybe final year, if someone is maybe applying for higher studies, or if someone is busy in placements and they cannot commit for longer time, then I guess they can actually choose short also. So yeah, it's, I mean, it depends on the flexibility. And even if you pick a short project, you have actually now started contributing. So even if your official period ends, the only thing that changes is that you will not get the additional stipend. You can still contribute during the longer run, right? So I guess if you have some certain commitments, then you can maybe go with shorter also. No issues there.
Okay, that was great. Let's get to the next question. Coming to the coding period, how much commitment did it require? Many of the third and second yearites will be having their internships during summer. Is it possible to manage both of them?
Okay, so I'll answer it. So coming to the first part, how much commitment did it require? Okay, so commitment, as I told about, so as in the FAQ, you can clearly mention, you can talk with the mentor like how much time which you have to commit, how much time in the weekdays and weekends. Okay, get clear numbers from them and stick to that. Okay, so commitment is about the work which you have to do. Okay, it is up to you. Maybe some person is able to do the work in 6 hours, and maybe you are taking 12 hours, or maybe you are taking 3 hours only. So that's depend from person to person. So this was about the commitment. And the second part is many of the third and second years will be having the some intention to. Okay, so for the freshers who are in the first year of college, they I think don't have any commitment issue, because at the end of uh, this first year, there will not be companies for internship, so they can give as much as time from them. It is just about learning. So I guess that's the best time. And people who are in second year will be contributing in second year. For them, like internship season will start. So the way to do would be like, when you are trying to get selected, then you give your 100%. Okay, then give your full time that you are committing to that thing. Let's say you get selected, and now after, when you get selected, you can start prioritizing your DSA and like the CS fundamentals there. Like, try giving time to them also, because you will be needing that thing to clear your rounds for the internship season. So both things go hand in hand. This is how I manage it, because I was in second year, so that thing is also doable. Okay, so you just have to give 4 to 6 hours, I think, at max in my case, when for GSOC. And weekends where you have all the time, so preparation. So I think there is no hindrance uh, uh, which you can say for the for second year people. For third year, I think maybe for some of them it can be a tougher situation, because you now have placements, and placements are the D-day. So in that case, maybe you can go for the this. I don't know about the variants of GSOC. They have introduced a shorter one. Okay, and try prioritizing your placements. Okay, so same way, before getting selected you can give more time, but when you get selected, uh, you just have to maintain the balance between the both. Okay, I think that answers your questions. So it is possible, yeah, it is possible to manage both. So yeah, definitely it is possible. So people from all the years, first year to fourth, they are able to manage GSOC.
Thank you, Ashwini Bhaiya. I'm sure that cleared that person's doubts. So again, let's get on with the next question. Since GSOC is now open to all and not just students, how can one tackle the increased competition?
Uh, about that, as I mentioned earlier, there are different level of difficulties, low, mid, and high. So even if the non-student or passwords can contribute, one information you should know that according to GSOC guideline, the motive of GSOC is to encourage beginner in open source. So even if an expert level opponent is there, you may get prioritized. So another point is like, if there is a non-student or or a expert that is your opponent, he is supposed to contribute in hard and mid-level projects. And if you are also contributing in hard projects, then I guess that is fine. You're great. You can compete with him. You are quite good. And but if some non-student is contributing in easy project, then he might be a beginner in open source, or uh, even if he's non-student. So either way, you can compete with them. Either he is student or non-student. So the tag like non-student or student doesn't make any changes. So their skill level can be skill levels matter.
One more thing I would like to add to this is I actually saw the uh, last year's accepted students, and although it was open to working professionals last year as well, that is this, I mean 2022 year as well, a lot of accepted students, a huge, very huge percentage of them were still students. So I guess what they are looking at is, yes, skills definitely yes, but apart from this, a lot of working professionals might not be able to provide the time commitment they need, or they had some other constraints also. So I guess still it's pretty much student friendly and open to student. If you can write a good proposal and convince them that you will complete whatever you mention in the proposal, I guess they would anyways prefer a student because the goal of GSOC is always to promote beginners. And so yeah.
Okay, so I guess that was a relief to hear for a lot of people because, uh, okay, next question. How was your mentor and mentee interaction?
Uh, Let me answer this. So, if I talk about my mentor, Edisman Putra, so he's an Indonesian hacker and like he's very friendly. At starting, I first start tagging him in our Slack group where all the conversation happens. Then we moved to the Slack DMs. I explained him my plans and he seemed satisfied. Then sometimes he also texts me to fix some issues or implement something. After the starting of the coding period, we moved to the WhatsApp and we discuss over there. Also, uh, besides this GSOC project, he also added me in OWASP Indonesia chapter. He gave me a lots of resources and study materials. And nowadays also, even after ending the coding period, we have close contact and we discuss solutions. I I review his project's PRs, everything. So that was a great experience. So if uh, any other can share their experience.
Yes, I will go ahead. So in my org, I had actually three mentors, but mostly my interaction was limited to two of them. So one was a so two of them were university professors, one at Brown University and other at Leeds University, and the third mentor was a doctoral student under the first mentor, the one at Brown. So it was again similar to how we interact with professors in our institutes. So we had a Slack channel where we used to discuss. We had a weekly meeting set up where we used to actually go through what we had done in the previous week. So it was pretty much that. And apart from this, I used to post my updates in the Slack channel. And sometimes, if we were not, if they were not available or I was not available for some time, then we used to like very frequently update each other about this. So yeah, it was a bit different. It was not like very active interaction, but yeah, definitely we once in 2 3 days we used to like have a Slack chat, and otherwise we used to every week we used to have a video chat. Yeah, I guess that's all from me.
Okay, we'll move on to the next question, which is what are the difficulties you faced during GSOC?
Okay, so I will answer it. So, like, difficulties like I started with like choosing the project and like going through the issues, trying to solve them. So like uh, the difficulties like will start when you will like start taking the issues. So actually they are not called difficulties. Like they should not be addressed as difficulties. Like they are like you are trying to get out of your comfort zone. So to like uh, learn something or that kind of thing. So like you have to like to learn something in open source, you need to get yourself out of your comfort zone. So like since when you take a issue in like if it is not a good first issue, so like you are actually trying to get yourself out of the comfort zone, you are trying to like figure out what is happening, how I can solve it, and that kind of thing. So like from there itself it will start becoming like out of your comfort zone. And like later the difficulties faced by me are like as you said, like we need to give some time to GSOC, we need to manage side by side the college stuffs and all that thing. And like I also was like doing some freelancing during that because I took it earlier. So like I had a hard time coping up with the like different things, but like I learned how to like manage things and giving each and every thing a particular time. So like it also taught me a kind of time management, like how I can give a particular set of time for a particular thing. So that was one another difficulty I faced. Other difficult, like after that, like there was a notification kind of feature to implement in my org. So like I had a difficulty in running the notifications in background. So those are the technical difficulties. Like you will face that, but that is like actually getting out of your comfort zone to learn something new and like to uh, get a new idea about how open source work. And open source is like it will make you learn by getting like pushing you. So like that's you need to like get to know beforehand only before starting contributing to open source, that you need to push a bit to yourself to actually contribute and have make some good contribution to open source projects. So that's what I would say about the difficulties faced. I hope that answers, and if someone wants to add something to it, can I?
Yeah. So for me, the most difficult part was writing a very coherent proposal, because when I was started writing proposal, it was like all over the place. There was no structure or something. Although I referred to a lot of proposals, there are a lot of proposals, available freely online. A lot of previous GSOC students have actually put them up. So it's better if you can actually go through them and try to follow the template if your organization has it, and try to get it reviewed if your mentors allow it. Then I guess this is the biggest thing, because at the end of the day, uh, from the day the application window closes till the announcement of whether you get accepted in GSOC, uh, there is literally nothing they have apart from your proposal document that you have to judge you. So I guess put enough time in that proposal, and yeah, that was the main thing I faced difficulty in. So yeah. Apart from it, yeah, development, during development and right programming, everyone there are some issues and bugs that come up. These are just routine stuff, but very specific to GSOC. If I have to talk, then that would be the proposal. And yeah, give significant time on the proposal.
Okay, so would anyone else like to add to that? I guess we'll just move on to the next question. What are the perks of GSOC, and is there an opportunity of getting internship slash PR opportunities after the completion of GSOC?
Yeah, so like one of the perks of GSOC, you like better if you count it as perk only. One perk is you will get the like stipend. So like uh, along with the learning, you will get a stipend. So like that's kind of like somebody is teaching you something and also giving you money for that. So it's like opposite way. So that is one perk. Other than that, for about getting internship and projects, yeah, you will like have a good like reflection about yourself if you apply for a certain internship. Like uh, if you go to an organization and apply for an internship, like the organization or like the company might be able to see that yeah, you are actually having certain sort of like experience with open source coding. And like if the company is also using the same tech stack you use for GSOC, you can show off your project and like you can make that project as a big project, like a kind of very good project for yourself to showcase your talent and the skills you have. So like that will work for you. Yeah, it might help you to get an internship opportunity. And apart from that, uh, the project opportunities and all, yeah, you will be able to like if you want to work with someone on a particular kind of project, like suppose like you want to work with some professor, like you are a research guy and you want to work with some professor on a certain project, then you can write about your experience if you got selected for a research project in GSOC. that I did this project and I had this experience, and that professor might give you a priority as compared to the other people who don't have such experiences. So yeah, job like GSOC will obviously have a like boost to your resume and boost to your like talent skills, and will you can be able to like showcase it as one of the achievements you have. Hope that answers the question.
Thanks a lot, Akshat Bhaiya. So I guess we'll take some questions from the live chat now. So we have a question. Do the same projects come every year?
Okay, I will start on this. So it's again depends from organization to organization. There are some projects which are like very large projects. So the same project as such might be split over a few years. So in that case, it might come like let's say you are implementing a particular huge feature in let's say uh, a library like let's say a framework like a Django, then it's actually then the same project might keep recurring. Or even in my organization, there is a deep lens project which basically is there for like 3 years. So actually, what happens in such projects is every year the student builds on the work of the previous year student, almost in that sort. So some cases this is there. Like for example, in even in Simpai, I know there was some feature that they like basically built over 4 years or so progressively. So some projects are there like that, but these are very few, and most projects are independent small features which might not recur. So it depends. I guess you have to look what do you like more. If you like working on scratch from something, then maybe you can take that project. But if you're like want to work on same project which is recurring, then you need to have a very good understanding of what has been done by the previous contributors. Otherwise, contributing to that same project might become difficult. Yeah, that's it.
We'll just wait for a minute if there are any more questions appearing in the live chat. So, guys, just ask any questions you have right now so our speakers can answer it for you. So, looks like we have a question. Do you think GSOC can be beneficial for researchers in AI and NLP domain?
So, to grow as a researcher, GSOC might not be the best place, but if you just want to get started with NLP or so, then there are actually some of very good organizations in working in classical NLP, linguistics, and also like deep learning based NLP. So yes, some projects, but you would have to really find them, uh, like you won't, like there some projects actually do not specifically mention as their NLP projects, but they have some aspect of it. Or even you would find some random NLP or AI project somewhere in an org which was not an ML org specifically. So definitely yes, but if you want to get into core research, this might not be the, again as I said, not be the best place. But to get started and actually uh, gain some development and programming ability in NLP, then definitely yes. Because when you contribute to open source projects, you would actually get an idea. So like one thing I would like to mention, so you would act, so all these standard organization or libraries that we use actually are participants in GSoC. So you name it, you have Keras, you have TensorFlow, then you have PyTorch, and all of these actually participate in GSoC every year. So if you want to work on these, then you can actually try these. But again, if you want to very specifically work on research and research alone, then maybe you should not do this, because here a lot of work would be actually writing code, and which might be a bit of development stuff as well. Even in these ML orgs, it would be a lot about adding features to library and such things. So for research specifically, no, but good place to start out, especially if you're first or second year.
So I guess it was covered that it might be a little late to start in December for GSOC, but even so, how do we start right now? What would be the best thing to do?
So first of all, I would like to add, it is not at all late. I guess this is the perfect time to start this December end period. You can start now and very easily get accepted. The best thing to do now is to basically very quickly get an idea of what you are comfortable with, what you can actually learn, and what project do you actually like or would like to contribute, or even the organization. And then based on that, you can actually decide what you need to do further. Because generic, you cannot really make a generic statement. What you need to learn or what you need to do now will actually depend based on the project and org you choose. Some orgs, it's very competitive, so you would need to start in October, November. Or some orgs you can even start after the organizations are announced and might get accepted. So it depends on which org and which project you want to contribute to. There is no single best thing. Once you figure out which org and project you want to choose, then the best thing would be approaching or looking at what other people in that org had done, and then maybe follow their path that they had followed previously. Yeah, that's all.
So I guess that's all the questions we had time for today. I'll thank everyone who attended the session, and I would also like to thank our speakers who took out their precious time to come here and answer the questions that we had about getting into GSOC. And that was all from Codepeak for the AMA GSOC session. If anyone wants to give any final words, then they're welcome.
I guess all I would say is there's no, this is a very broad program. There is no single piece of advice or suggestion or a path that you can follow. I guess it needs to be tailored to what you like, what you choose, and what you want to do. See, it's very opposite of how we work in industry. Like here you have to tell them what you want to work on. You have to tell them how much time you have. You have to tell them what you know. And yeah, it's kind of the opposite way. So it depends on uh, what you want to do. So I guess figuring out what your interests are, what you would like, is the first step. And apart from that, then you can tailor your path. There is no one single way to do it. Yeah, that's all.
Okay, so thank you everyone. Thank you, speakers. And I hope everyone enjoyed their session. And I hope everyone fulfills their dream of clearing GSOC. And I wish everyone all the best for that.